Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, Anita Finley.
Now we're going to get back to Darwin Porter, who's sitting there chomping at the bit to tell us so many things. Good morning, Darwin.
Good morning to you, Anita. And this year is moving rapidly along, and I'm going to be surviving on Death Watch Coffee, which whose trademark is Skull and Crossbones. Now, those who have not heard of this strong coffee will Sunday if they watch the Super Bowl. It's supposed to be a hot thing that's going to be introduced, and they're already getting ready with millions of shipments. So anyone who watches the Super Bowl will know what Death Watch Coffee is. Can you believe it?
I thought you were going to talk about your wonderful new book, Bill and Hillary. I want to talk about that. How's it doing?
It is doing fantastic, but in fact, it's just been approved by the Chinese censors, and your picture on the dedication page for the first time will be displayed, I think, in Tibet, 3 hours in Tibet, and I suspect you're going to get a lot of offers from rich Chinese businessmen.
You can be my agent. I'm going to refer them all to you, okay?
Yeah, but certainly Hillary is in the news. There's so much happening. That's why I told you I need that double. Seriously, just watch what happens Monday with Death Watch Coffee. Isn't that a terrible name?
Yes,
coffee?
It's terrible.
And anyway, moving on from that, I'm not paid to advertise them, by the way. I am finishing this James Dean book. I'm working 1 o'clock in the morning. They want it immediately. They set up all sorts of deals. You know, millions of fans of James Dean are still around, and even whether you like him or not, he and Marilyn Monroe remain the 2 iconic Hollywood stars of the 50s. But last night, I got a memo from my boss of bosses, and he said, "We want the Donald Trump book sooner than later."
They want you to put the James Dean aside?
Oh, no. Good Lord, no. They've already made deals with Barnes & Noble and everything. I'm on my last chapter, so they want... Donald Trump is the man of the hour. Now, one of the reasons for that, I don't know if you heard about it, but Trump is really getting major deals, for example, with Megyn Kelly. Now, I don't know if you watch her.
I do. What's going on there?
Well, this is just unbelievable. But you know that Trump attacked her.
Oh, yes.
She said you referred to women as fat pigs, dog slobs, and disgusting animals, and that began the feud. Well, unbelievably, we found out yesterday she's going to make. Are you sitting down?
I am.
$10 million on a book deal with HarperCollins. So his attack on, he responded, suggesting that she, how can I put this delicately, bleeds at both ends.
Oh, yeah, right. It was just insane. When I thought he was finished after that, really.
No.
I know.
Not only is he not finished, but Megyn Kelly will now be a multimillionaire. So there is a real demand. Orders are already coming in. He wants the book right away. But the trouble is, I haven't even written it yet.
It's all in your head, right?
Do you know now why I need the coffee? And, no, Trump is... Now, win or lose, it doesn't matter if he wins or loses as far as the book goes, because nothing in the history of the Republic has ever been like 2016. For example, I have here before me all of Theodore White's books called The Making of the President, about 4 campaigns. They were all very interesting books. Now they look dull compared to what's going on now. I've never seen, and I've been not only in my lifetime, but I've also read about all the presidential campaigns in history. Nothing is quite like this. I mean, for example, I want to talk about the age issue, but the personal level, not just Megyn Kelly and Donald Trump exchanging vulgar comments with each other, but just recently it's gotten not even about issues, but sometimes just really very personal. The most revolting, I thought, was when Governor Christie of New Jersey, of all people, attacked Hillary's butt. For example, he said, if I were standing behind her back when I was state attorney in New Jersey, I would have issued her a subpoena. Wow.
My gosh, that for someone like him calling the kettle black?
The campaign manager shot back that Governor Christie is about the last person to talk about someone's butt. His butt would begin at the eastern border of Texas and stretch to Arizona. And he said, not only that, but you have to mow down a field of cotton in Alabama to make a pair of jockey shorts for him.
You're right. Oh, my. He is an amazing. I mean, and he already had that lap band, but I guess it didn't work.
Yeah, but I thought, of all people, to attack someone's butt.
Yeah, I've never. Now, let me ask you then, as a historian and understanding what people said when they were campaigning. So, are you saying that this kind of talk never occurred with any presidents before, or nominations?
There have been examples of it, but I keep up with the European papers, and what I'm getting at, actually, we're being mocked. The campaign is being mocked throughout the world. It's what Ronald Reagan used to call a cast of Looney Tune characters. Someone says, America has at long last become a banana republic. And then not only is it personal, but things are changing so rapidly. I mean, Sarah Palin has entered with all sorts of outrageous things. Theodore White was pretty straightforward. But today, I live in the media capital of the world, and we hear a lot more inside stuff. My book on Trump will be a lot of stuff you didn't necessarily hear on TV or someplace, really personal things. But it's going to be a great challenge, and I am looking forward to it. I'll give you another example. As a Floridian, you know that George Bush had as his mentor Marco Rubio. Well, George Bush is up there in the snows of California going after Rubio.
Yep.
The love affair the bromance between the two of them is over, and I hope you saw the pictures yesterday of where he brought in Barbara Bush.
Yes, I did. And I remember what Trump said about Jeb, mommy's baby or something. Oh. Yeah,
calling out. Well, of course, Barbara Bush remains very, very popular, but she's a tough old gal, and at 91 years old. So what the papers in the North did, they ran a picture of Barbara Bush with her walker in the snow, but Trump had flown back to New York for the Trump Tower apartment, which is really spectacular, and his pilots warned him he couldn't return, so he had to cancel and fly to South Carolina. And so now the papers are playing up, Barbara Bush can handle the snow, but
I know, I saw that.
and she was quite effective, and Bush is suddenly, Trump attacked him as being such a low energy. Well, he seems to be finding his energy, and he is really going after now Rubio. It's really being played up. But now an astounding thing has occurred in a strange poll. New Hampshire people do not make up their minds. It seems almost until they go into the poll. Now they did some survey that showed 55% of the people had not yet decided. So interviewers said, well, who are you? What are your choices? I mean, who are the two people that you're considering? They thought they would say Cruz, Rubio, but get this. They said the two people we're considering will either vote for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. Well, that surprised me, you know. What a switch.
Yeah, that's what's happening here. It's
Now, I did some research on Trump has really scored a big hit with Ted Cruz on being the Canadian anchor baby. That's true. He is. He could be a citizen he was born in Alberta, and his mother was from Delaware. His father was from Havana. And Cruz used to work at the Supreme Court, and he also has argued before the Supreme Court. So he's a smart man, and he knows better. But he said the issue of say, being born in Canada has already been decided. Well, it hasn't been decided. In all the history of the Republic, the Supreme Court has never ruled on what these two things mean in the Constitution. It says the president has to be a natural-born citizen, and a senator or congressman has to be a citizen. So they make a distinction. You know, Schwarzenegger was born in Austria. He could run for the governorship, or he could run for the Senate, but he could not run for president. And so this has not been ruled on. So they bring up, okay, John McCain was born in Panama, but that was the Canal Zone at the time, which was under the control of the United States. It came up during Barry Goldwater. You know, Barry Goldwater was not born in the United States. He was born in Arizona. Well, you say Arizona is part of the United States. Well, believe it or not, it was a territory.
I didn't know that.
And the strangest case I found out about, at one time, Franklin Delano Roosevelt Jr. was considering running for president, and the Republicans threatened to sue. Now, you couldn't be more American than having as your father FDR and Eleanor Roosevelt. But he was born on Campobello Island, which is a territory of New Brunswick, Canada. And so there was even question about whether Franklin D. Roosevelt Jr. I have a real personal thing to add to that. I had to investigate something, and I needed information from Sarah Lawrence College. And I called and spoke to a professor, and he said, you know, I can't help you, but I'm going to switch you over to another professor who's in his office now, and he can help you. And I got the professor, and I identified myself and told him what I wanted, and I said, sir, forgive me, but who am I speaking to? And he said, Franklin Delano Roosevelt III. And
no.
I thought he was putting me on. I wanted to say yes, and I'm Harry S. Truman. But it turned out he was Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Kidding.
You don't hear about him a lot, but he's still alive. So this issue has not been determined, and I just found out last week that the Democrats considered in New York, an attorney firm will plan to sue if Ted Cruz gets the nomination. So someone said Ted Cruz could be sworn in January, and then they would come to say, no, the vice president will have to be sworn in because you were not a natural-born citizen. I find it fascinating that issue has never been determined at this late date.
Well, I know that Trump, of course, was making such a big deal, but it seems like he's quieted down on it. I was wondering.
Well, for the moment. But the heat is just on. I think it's just going to be between now. I have to close out the book I have to wait until finish the final chapter at the nominating convention. Whether he wins or loses, we're going ahead with the book. But I want to say one thing. I've been very you don't see it on television, and it's often not reported. But as a senior citizen, I have been very offended by what's being said in some of these town hall meetings and everything. For example, age has really come under attack, not from elderly people, but from young people. Even Marco Rubio suggested 80 might be the turnoff point in life. I know he's a young man, but I thought that was a very insensitive thing for a senator. Florida is known to have a few senior citizens. And, for example, now Bernie Sanders is under attack because someone said, do you know if you win he's 74 years old. He said, if you win the presidency, do you realize if you serve 2 terms, you will be 83 years old? Well, they said 83 years old like that's a sin. You know?
No, you're absolutely right, Darwin. It's a whole new world. And I really respect your opinion so much because you've been so involved in this and on things like this for so long. I just listened to the television until I said to Bill, I can't listen anymore. I want to go do something else. It's really gotten to be depressing.
Yeah, well, for example, I once went to a seminar in Honolulu about creativity and the aging. I know that I am in my 70s, and I'm certainly pushing 80, and I'm in one of the most productive periods of my life. And to think, now, for example, both Trump or Hillary, whichever one, they would be in their 70s when they were occupying the White House, and it would, you know, in a way, they would be following the example of Ronald Reagan. But so much of this is the suggestion that if you're at that age, it's about time to go out to pasture. But yet, under an amazing contradiction, the oldest man running is attracting the youth vote, which is Bernie.
Yeah, I still cannot believe this. And I don't, I usually don't talk politics, but what do you think that's all about?
Well, because he virtually is promising them nirvana.
Right, that's right.
Free. I mean, his package is very, very attractive. Hillary is more practical about, well, you have to finance that. And now, senior citizens overwhelmingly will vote for Hillary. And I'm talking on the Democratic.
Right, I understand. And the one thing that you just said is the problem with Bernie, too, is that it's not only that, but it's talking about even poor Obama couldn't get a lot through. But now you're looking at someone who wants to, they're going to call him a communist next. I mean,
I know.
Oh, he's on the verge. It's so ridiculous, actually.
Well, that's why I know, forgive me for talking about politics, but it's just going to be dominating. I'm not trying to be partial, particularly, because, for example, I think all the candidates are flawed. But
of course they are. Human beings are flawed.
Yes, they are. Now, I found out something, and I really think it's the Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is people. I'm not saying he did it, but they did some dirty stunts in Iowa, and they practically eliminated Dr. Carson,
right.
Who was. But now there is something going on right now in New Hampshire. Now, New Hampshire is not Alabama, and the people are actually they're far more liberal. Of course, we know that. But all these robot calls are now going out from, they say we are, from the white supremacist policy organizations, and we're urging you to vote for Donald Trump. Now, there's no evidence that Donald Trump is a white supremacist, and it's been suspected that these people are actually Ted Cruz supporters. And it's not going well in New Hampshire because people, well, not sophisticated people, but many people believe that that was actually Ted Cruz endorsing this. I think it's Ted Cruz supporters, but not. Sometimes when you run for office, you can't help who you attract.
Yeah, but it's...
And so this is like some dirty thing. But actually, I think, though, back to Barbara Bush again, I think she will give her son. She said, for the moment, he's my favorite son. She had not wanted him to run, and he's done very, very badly, even though many people say in Florida, you would know that better than I would, that he had done a very good job. But they finally asked, they said, Mrs. Bush, what do you think of Trump? And she said, I think he's disgusting. Now, remember, this is a woman. You know, Barbara Bush can be very testy. When Geraldine Ferrara was running for vice president, she said, what do you think of Mrs. Ferrara? And she said, well, I can put it in one word, but it rhymes with stitch, ditch, and hitch.
Is that what she said?
So, you know, I think she has a testier tongue than her husband.
Yes.
And anyway, it was sort of interesting seeing her back on the scene again. So I will be immersed in there's so many personal stories that I haven't seen on television or something. For example, Donald Trump came back to New York and had what Southern Baptists would call a come-to-Jesus meeting with his first wife, Ivana. Ivana has been going all over New York telling people that the third Mrs. Trump would be a horrible first lady.
Oh, has she?
and I've got several quotes from her of why she would be an utter failure, except for her wardrobe. Ivana is a great dresser herself, and but she said she can't make a speech. She's ignorant, you know. Of course, she has her own business, you know, making $1 million a year. That wouldn't. That's not a lot of money to Trump, but it shows that she at least. We've done a show on her, so I don't need to talk about her. But so apparently Trump met with Ivana. They still have the three older children, and they often confer together. And I think there's some financial tie-in. So the word was that he told Ivana to shut your trap.
You know, I knew that would happen. That's why everyone's being so quiet. I mean, because I just can't wait for your book. I mean, I will go crazy when your book comes out. Well, I just can't wait.
Trump, Donald told his staff that the reason Ivana is so upset is she just blew her chance to be first lady.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, Cruz's attack on Trump, to respond to the anchor baby, well, he said, well, your mother was born in Scotland. That is true, but she was a naturalized citizen. It's not quite. It's comparing apples and oranges. Donald Trump was born in New York City.
Right. Well, I guess we've run out of time, but I wish we had another 5 hours with you. I am so thrilled to have had you on the show this morning. And I
also wanted to defend senior citizens because
yes.
I've been insulted.
Right, and I have too, but that's okay. We love each other, and that's great. Darwin, thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you and talk to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Darwin. Bye.